LSU producing as much NFL talent as just about anybody in the country year after year after year. But what changes in the 2020 NFL draft is that they send those guys off without 3 or 4 losses, but instead an undefeated season and a national championship ring. We got Billy Gomilla on the line to talk LSU football. Billy's joined us for years here, breaking down the Tigers. And again, I'll let you, before we break down Joe Burrow and company, bask in the glow of, an NFL draft, and LSU is going to be prominent as always, but 15-0, and that still has to feel good.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, what more can you ask for? 15-0 national championship, Heisman Trophy winner. You know, I was confident I would see another national championship at LSU, and I felt pretty good about Ed Ogeron getting them there as well. I never saw this kind of season coming, and I never thought I would see a Heisman Trophy winner, especially not at quarterback. You know, not just a Heisman winner, but a true contender for one of the best seasons in college history. So it's been really, really special and great to look back on now that's all over.
There's an article posted on ESPN.com's college football section just today concerning the 2015 Ohio State class and that particular team being one of the most talented in the history of college football. And what's little known is that Joe Burrow was on the roster as a true freshman, and then 5 years later, he emerges obviously as the number 1 pick most likely in the NFL draft. He goes from 16 touchdown passes to 60 prolific. So I guess the only concern there would be, is he a different guy without Joe Brady and this kind of offense?
Well, I think there's something to it in that he's not the most physically overwhelming guy the way a lot of number 1 picks are. You know, he's got a good arm. He's certainly got an NFL arm. I don't know. He doesn't have that kind of, huge Matt Stafford type of arm that can put the ball anywhere on the field. But right away, the thing that jumped off the page was, you really saw his accuracy improve down the stretch in 2018 in that first year, that last month of the season. He always made really good decisions, even when he wasn't the most accurate quarterback. He never really turned the ball over very much. He didn't put a lot of balls up for grabs. He was really safe with the ball. And then this year, just his accuracy was off the charts. And yes, LSU had great receivers and obviously made a scheme, switched to a scheme that was a little bit more beneficial for everyone. But that alone doesn't explain going from being, a sub 60% passer to being, nearly an 80% passer. So yeah, I think a lot of that has to be on Joe Burrow's own just physical improvement, just his accuracy improving with the progression of the year. I know he worked with a lot of private quarterback coaches that offseason, and frankly, just being able to kind of approach it like a true professional. Being a graduate student and just being able to break down film and break down opponents full time the way you expect an NFL quarterback to do it. And, the thing that jumped off the page to me, not just about Burrow, but about this offense in general, was they could do whatever it took to beat you. Sometimes you see quarterbacks or you see a certain offense and you think, well, they like to throw it down the field, but if you make them lay up and make short throws, they struggle a little bit. Or, if you sit on those routes and make them throw down the field, they're not as good at pushing the ball. LSU could do whatever it wanted. If you played with your safeties deep, they could just eat you up on short passes. If you didn't, they could attack you down the field. If you blitzed, it better work because he was going to pick it up and he was going to find an open guy. And by the end of the year, it really was going into the playoffs, not so much against Clemson, but even against Oklahoma, it was kind of like we just knew that the other team wasn't going to stop us and wasn't going to stop Burrow, and he was going to be able to do what he wanted.
And if we're thinking of these things in regards to possible drawbacks to Joe Burrow transitioning to the next level, obviously the NFL scouts, especially there at Cincinnati, are thinking of the same thing. But again, in addition to the arm talent, what really stands out is the guy's confidence, his toughness, and leadership ability. And then on top of that, just his swagger. And like all the great quarterbacks, he likes to work. He put in the work both in the film room and on the practice field, and they're grinders, and the first one at the facility and the last one to go home. And he seems to be fitting that mold of a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning when it comes to that in particular.